Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS are set to hand Erik ten Hag a stay of execution and will be in charge next season. For me personally, Reds, I think it's fantastic news if it's true, but we want to know your thoughts and opinions, so get involved in the chat below. What's your thoughts going on to that?
Well, it's interesting how more and more media, newspapers, online are talking about Erik ten Hag staying in the job or even going. I think what it is, it goes back to Jim Ratcliffe turning around, talking about we will decide who's going to be playing, the style of play, everything. Well, at the end of the day, a manager is a manager, and that's the problem. That statement has put pressure on Erik ten Hag, and the media are pushing it up more and more. So Jim Ratcliffe's statement over a month ago turned that on its head by turning around and saying, we will decide who and what style of football will be played at Manchester United. That puts Erik ten Hag, I believe, I'm not sure how other people see it out there, but I believe that puts pressure on Erik ten Hag. Will he stay under them conditions? I look at Erik ten Hag, he's a coach. So at the end of the day, it looks good for him.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and we mentioned it multiple times about that interview where he come out and expressed that it will be him and Manchester United that set the style of play. But since then, Erik ten Hag has come out himself and said that he's on the same wavelength as INEOS, Sir Jim Ratcliffe going forward. He wants to play that proactive football, high intensity. So I don't see any problems there. I just think maybe the media are still trying to cook things up where Erik ten Hag and there's pressure on his head.
Well, that's what the media does, puts pressure on, and that's why it's interesting to see more and more news reports coming out about Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag, in reality, is a coach. He done that Ajax team there. He coached them well, coached young players and everything. But he's come to Old Trafford, and his remit when he come was to take control, and he wanted control because it needed control, and that's what I'm saying. If you look at Jurgen Klopp, okay, would he work under the conditions of you're being told what style of play and everything else? This is the player I'm bringing in. No, he wouldn't. And then you also have to look, right, at Guardiola.
Yeah, but every manager that goes into a football club has certain conditions in what they will work under. And Erik ten Hag, when he first come in there, I've seen plenty of interviews over the course of the period, has been Manchester United manager, and he wanted full control in terms of the final say of what players are brought into Manchester United. Now, in this article, it's also stating that that control is going to be took away from him. Now, that's something me personally, I expect. Because if you bring in a sporting director in, a director of football as well, if that is still going to be John Murtough, we don't know yet, or someone else who comes in to replace him, I would expect that it's going to be them who have the final say. But Erik ten Hag will be in on them meetings to discuss these certain players bringing in. I just don't think he'll have the final say.
I think a lot of people will agree with what you're saying. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I don't think he will have the final say. And this is what I'm saying about the continuation of Erik ten Hag will lose his job in the summer. That's what a lot of people are talking about. And I think the conflict of where INEOS stand and Erik ten Hag stood when he came in for the job, his role is going to change, and people are suggesting he's going to leave. I do believe he'll be comfortable coaching the team with the style of play, with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS want. I'm happy with that. I just look at other managers. Klopp wouldn't have it. He'd come in, I want control. This is the style of play. These are the players I'm buying. And I also look at Pep Guardiola.
Look at them two managers, you would look at them two and look at what they've won in the periods that they've been at them clubs. They've probably earned that right to have the final decision in their football clubs on the transfers that they come into the club. Erik ten Hag, in my opinion, even though I support him and I want him to be the Manchester United manager, he hasn't earned that right yet.
He's not earned that right yet, but he's also had a stumbling block. The people, what he's been working around. If you look at Murtough and things like that, they have just way overpaid for players. They've gone searching for players. It's not been right. But now Erik ten Hag can see what's going to be in the background. He's going to have the right people in place, and I believe he will be happy working in there. So all these reports, what are coming out, suggesting Erik ten Hag will get the sack or he'll leave or anything like that, I don't believe it, because I do believe that Erik ten Hag will be comfortable under the new regime that other managers, I don't believe, would accept that. And I think the reports are trying to say Erik ten Hag is like these other managers. I don't believe that, because when you look at his work, and I've said it before, Ajax, coaching young players, getting development out of them and working along.
You've also got to look at, I just mentioned earlier on, about him having that control, that final say over transfers, and he's got to earn that right. Well, since he's walked into this football club, he's had that right.
Yes.
He's been given that right because there's not been football people behind the scenes being competent enough to make the final decision themselves. So they've kind of probably left it to Erik ten Hag in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at the transfers that he's brought in since he's been here. Have they all really worked out? Not really. Some of them you're looking at, you're thinking, made a bad decision there, made a bad decision with that one. But all managers do that. Great managers have done that. How many times we've had that under Sir Alex Ferguson? Pep Guardiola does it. Jurgen Klopp does it. But I just think he needs that support alongside him to make that good decision and what's best for the football club going forward. And I actually do really like the idea of someone like a Dan Ashworth and someone else coming alongside him, like your Omar Barada. I think he'll be just there to sign off the checks, to be honest with you. I think they'll leave that to the likes of the sporting director and the director of the football, the recruitment staff, to have that discussion, and they all come to an amicable decision on who they're going to get in the transfer window and who they're going to actually get out the football club as well. Let's face it, there's still a lot here that we need to shift out of this football club.
When you look at it, he's not had the right people in place, and I think Erik ten Hag, a lot of things what have gone on at United have been out of his control because of the chaos and what's, I call it the virus what circulates within the club. But these people are being brought in. I think he'll be happy working with them. I think United will be happy working with him. But I just think that the press and the media are just sort of pushing for the angle that he won't be happy, and that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I think that what they're saying is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to make changes. I don't believe that. I don't think you believe that, and many people out there don't believe that. But at the end of the day, the media are the media.
It wouldn't surprise me, though. It wouldn't surprise me, like we've discussed in previous videos, and you look at other football clubs around the world, big, huge European giants, when a new owners come in, etc., they do normally change manager within that 12, 18 months and get their own person in. But, if what's led to be believed out of Erik ten Hag's mouth, he seems to be on the same page as him. So for me, working alongside a sporting director, which he's been used to at Ajax with Mark Overmars, etc. The only stumbling block is, from all reports, he had the final say on the transfers, whereas that now looks like it's going to be took away from him, and it's going to be more of a case of the actual management staff in that area, all of them having a final say. So let's see how they all actually work together. Let's hope that Dan Ashworth, who comes in, can work alongside Erik ten Hag, work in harmony, and things all look rosy in the garden, so to speak, but it never works like that in football because egos come into it, and it's like people want to be bigger than the next man. So
nothing in football shocks me anymore. But at the moment, Erik ten Hag, I do believe, coaching, that's what he does, and he'll get on with the rest of the club, the people in charge, and they'll make the final decisions. They'll work along Erik ten Hag, and I think he'll be happy to do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and let's hope for next season we start seeing a more consistent style of play under Erik ten Hag, because it's going to be his first season. We've highlighted it many times. We always thought from the start he should be given 3 seasons to judge him, and he's had a lot to put up with, from players off the field, the Glazers. Is it a full sale? Is it a part sale? Now we know where we are at the moment with all that, but let's try and just give him a bit of support, going forward, and let's hope he can do a good job, because if he does, we're going to be back challenging again.
Well, I think what we have to look at here is with INEOS and with Erik ten Hag, if he stays, and I do believe he will stay, I think what you have to look at here is small steps, take it easy, and then we just go along with it. A lot of things have to be done to be implemented behind the scenes for this to work, and I do believe that INEOS have started in the right direction.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe said 3 years, which I highly doubt. But I'll tell you what, if he turns it round in 3 years, where he has Manchester United challenging, well, he's a miracle worker in my eyes. But, let's see and wait for that. But, just thought I'd do you a little bit of a brief overview today on what the latest stories are around Manchester United, Erik ten Hag, etc. Just so you can get involved with your own comments and opinions underneath the video. So if you've enjoyed the video, you want to support us, just leave a like on the video, and we'll be back tomorrow with a roundup of the latest Manchester United news. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you.